Is Batman an easy character to write? Easier to write than other superheroes? Batman has a ton of games, movies, popular comics, and most of them are deemed from being good to damn near perfect. The Dark Knight, The Batman, Under the Red Hood, Arkham City, a few examples of top tier Batman content, but it gets one thinking, is Batman an easy character to write? A superhero that has more odds of having a good story compared to other heroes like, say, Superman because of the natural stories that emit from Batman. Before we start, this is not to undermine any writers or people that have made or worked on any Batman projects like Paul Dini, Nolan, Matt Reeves. Everyone that has made a good Batman story because they are just an excellent person and they're talented and that's their job, okay? Before people start thinking this video is to undermine them, it's not. I just want to talk about this, so let's talk about it and ponder that question. Is Batman an easy character to write? And let's start with the first point here. As a premise, Batman is already from the very jump interesting because it is to some extent realistic and relatable. Obviously not the training for years, being a billionaire and all that tech and whatnot, but let me explain. Let's look at a hero like Superman. Interesting character, right? But the whole alien origin is something people will naturally not find as interesting for some varying reasons, but one being is that it may not be too relatable. Someone like the Flash, he is human, but he got his powers from a chemical accident, and his supernatural abilities are sometimes hard to latch onto. Someone like Batman, his parents were gunned down in an alley, causing him to go down a depressing spiral and become a vigilante fighting for justice. People thrive on negativity. As a premise, Batman seemingly is naturally more interesting to people because there's a side of him that a lot of people unfortunately latch onto, which is that negative side, depressing side. Batman is a Dark Knight, someone that stands on a gargoyle at night during the rain and contemplates the death of his parents. How many of us have had moments like this where we think about our dark and depressing times? A lot of us. I mean, look at the reels they make of Batman that connect with that depressing theme. I think it's an unfortunate part of life that people latch on to more negativity than positivity, and Batman carries that more so than other heroes. But outside of that reason, as a basic premise, the concept of a ninja going out at night putting the fear of God in criminals, sneaking up out of nowhere or taking out 50 guys without a sweat with no powers, is also a naturally more interesting thing than seeing a speedster blitz through a bunch of guys. Is this a factual statement? No, but I can guarantee you this is how a ton of people feel. When your premise is already interesting from the jump, there's no way to go but up. With that, he has the lone wolf personality. He's dark and brooding. It makes him feel unique compared to other heroes of DC or Marvel. He stands out. You got someone like Spider-Man who comes in to make a joke, stop the bad guy, and swing away. Superman saves a cat out of a tree, flies away. Flash saves a family, then runs off. Batman, he beats the hell out of some low-life thugs, scaring them to death, and even scaring the person he's trying to help. The feeling of being distinct and unique sets up an interesting premise to write about, but it's not just Batman that stands out, but also his identity of Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is also very interesting. He's a rich, smooth-talking, tall, handsome billionaire with the technology of James Bond. We all want to be like this, right? We all want these traits I just mentioned. I know this may not feel related to why writing Batman is easy, but I think it is. When you have all of these inherently captivating traits to write around, to make a story around, it makes it easier to do that. How many times have we seen Bruce buy a restaurant because he can, or uses money to flex because he can? It's cool because we know as the audience that he's not doing it because he's an asshole, but he's doing it to keep his identity a secret. And that writing is something naturally engaging for the audience. And there's a lot of examples like that I can say between Batman and Bruce Wayne, but this premise is a grounds for making a story that is just, I think, a little easier to write than other heroes while also being very captivating. The complexity here just gives you so much room for writing. Batman at the surface is just a visually cool character, but an in-depth look reveals how much complexity he has too, and it gives the best of both worlds. You can be a casual person and love Batman, and be a complete nerd and love Batman. His character with so many layers gives you so many questions. Is his no-kill rule a good thing? Should he just kill the Joker and leave it at that? He never got over his parents' death. He's just an insane person that happens to be good. So many avenues of his personality to explore, so many ways to explore it, so many ways to maybe destroy it. That kind of character depth is way more than others. He's a very powerful character, but he's also a very human character with questionable morals, unique motivations, things you can see, and it makes you think about what he's doing and if he's doing it correctly. But why it's even easier is because of the next topic here. Batman's universe excels for many, many things. One of the biggest is the supporting cast of characters. A Batman story isn't easier to write per se because of just Batman, but rather Batman and his whole universe. Think of how many characters there are and how interesting each and every one is. Their legacies, their stories, and how you can twist it into basically any conceivable theme for a story. You want a mystery story, you got Riddler. You want a horror-themed story? You got Scarecrow. You want an action-packed one? You can go with Ra's al Ghul. A huge reason as to why Batman, I feel, has more leeway when it comes to writing, more excitement, more creativity when it comes to DC projects is because just about every single villain, Bat family member, supporting character is just interesting. And when you have a mountain of options at your disposal, a talented director like Matt Reeves is going to come around and cherry pick a character to make an excellent story out of. Yes, other superheroes have interesting supporting characters as well, I'm not saying that in the slightest, but let's just be for real right now. Be for real, dude. Comparatively, a lot of Batman characters are just like Batman, interesting from the jump. These characters all allow for Batman to be extremely versatile, which is important. You can make Batman a little campy or goofy and have an excellent Batman film, case in point with Lego Batman, but you can also have a dark and gritty Batman movie and it be considered one of the best films of all time, The Dark Knight. This versatility in tone and genre is a byproduct of the freedom that Batman and his universe allows to the writer. And if you want to get into very specific details about it, Batman villains aren't just villains, but these villains have their very own interesting stories as well that you can basically just make a movie out of if you wanted to. Mr. Freeze, his wife is dying and he stops at nothing to get a cure for her, and Batman understands that, which creates a big blockade in their relationship where Batman wants to help his wife, but also has to stop Mr. Freeze. How many people have been asking Matt Reeves to make the next movie about Mr. Freeze? It's a lot of people. It's because that character in itself isn't just naturally interesting. Clayface, a Batman villain that is getting their own movie, a psychopathic movie star that can shapeshift and uses it to kill people. The Joker, the lack of not knowing his origin is enough to keep people interested. In The Dark Knight, there were theories that Joker was ex-Special Ops due to the lack of records for him and his deep understanding of weapons and tech. Scarecrow, a daunting opposite of Batman in a way. While Batman uses fear against the evil, Scarecrow uses fear against the innocent, almost like two sides of the same coin. Speaking of which, can't forget about Two-Face, the guy who has a personal connection with Batman and felt betrayed, and that feeling of anger sends him on a downward spiral. Do you see how interesting these characters are? All these villains have their own origins, own motivations, they're all written to be complex, they're not just generic characters. Damn near no Batman character is, and when you have decades, I mean around 80 years worth of established history with these guys, you don't need to hype them up. Everybody knows and loves these characters, so grabbing people's attention is all but guaranteed, which is why I think it's also easier to write Batman. Other superheroes with decent rogues galleries is hard to compare, even Spider-Man. Spider-Man villains like Rhino, Scorpion, Electro are great villains, but I feel like their origins and motivations just aren't as well known and as interesting as Batman's to a big pool of a lot of people if you ask them. Despite all of this, let me just say once again, even with the framework, it still takes immense skill to write an amazing Batman story. Everyone that has, I'm not undermining them. But it's way more likely for someone to take a chance on Batman over someone like Superman because of how much expression there is with Batman in his world, and because of that, it feels a bit more enticing to go for and write for. I know this is something I could put maybe in the first point of premise, but I think something that Batman does really well compared to other characters is also the themes and how difficult choices can be. When people think of Batman, they may think of a lot of things, but something that emits from the writing of his character are themes of depression, loss, but also rebuilding and happiness. These themes are things that really connect people and has them understanding and latch onto Batman more because while Batman is a fictional being, these themes are real and hits hard for people. For example, Batman lost his family, but then rebuilt a new family with Dick, Alfred, the rest of the Bat family. But Batman will never get over his parents' death, it's always a part of him. Everyone in some shape or form has lost someone, some people more than others. It's really hard to rebuild and for some, impossible to move on from. But you can do your best to try and move forward. Batman does that, and people latch onto that. It just goes deeper than that too, like Dick Grayson. Dick lost his parents to the crime of Gotham. Could have ended up like Bruce, but Bruce gave him guidance and the closure to become a better hero, which succeeds Batman's goal of what happened to him doesn't happen to someone else. This is just scratching the surface. These themes, these ideologies, it's rare to find these among other rosters of villains and characters. And when you have so many classic, interesting stories, you can then intertwine them, combine these, and make an original story that feels fresh and unique. The Dark Knight, for example, took elements from The Long Halloween into that Joker-centric story, and it worked out perfectly, making Joker the person who turns Harvey into Two-Face. And you can see there's damn near infinite possibilities of crossing over the plethora of interesting Batman stories where a new director or writer can come in and have better odds of making a good Batman story when they understand all the source material. Batman just simply has so much great source material to work with comparatively to other heroes. It's almost unfair if you ask me. Yeah, people love Superman, Lex, Bizarro, but people love Bane. Bane broke the Batman. How many people know that Bane broke the Batman? Damn near everybody. People love Two-Face. Two-Face worked with Bruce and felt betrayed. How many people know that? A lot. People love Harley Quinn. She turned into chaos by the Joker. Almost everybody knows that too. A lot of villains are just well known and synonymous with their interesting backstories that any writer can take advantage of, which is why I believe it's easier to just make a good Batman story. The options here are plentiful, and for some people that may be a bad thing. Like, Batman is one of the most popular pop culture icons ever. By virtue of him being extremely popular, yes, people might be inclined to roll with the story and praise it, but even so, it may just add more to the fact that he is an easier character to write. But with all that said, what is my personal opinion? Do I think Batman is an easy character to write compared to other superheroes? And my answer is yes, I think Batman is. But it's not like a bad thing to me. I just believe that Batman, with his inherent popularity, his unmatched supporting cast of characters, and his premise and character in itself, as well as just a plethora of themes and popular stories to adapt, it gives you so many options to mold or construct a good Batman story. All these Batman creators, Nolan, Reeves, not whoever wrote this, Paul Dini, and so on, they just took advantage of these tools and made amazing Batman stories with them. Even though I think it is easier to write a good Batman story, it's not easy to write a good Batman story. You see what I mean? You still need talent, effort, and dedication to make a good one, because there's a lot to the character that I think needs to be addressed most of the time to give us a good rendition. But when it comes down to it, in my opinion, there's a reason Batman gets so many games, movies, comic shows, while someone like Flash or Superman don't get nearly as many. I mean, that's kind of unfair to say. WB just loves making Batman games and kind of neglects all the other superheroes, but you get my point. I could be very wrong. Maybe we just got lucky with who's been writing Batman this entire time, right? But at the end of the day, I think Batman is an easy character to write, and I'm thankful for that. Even the quote-unquote bad movies for Batman, they still have some kind of charm to them. People can still kind of watch them and enjoy them for what they are, I think. And if it means we get more people tackling on the Batman mythos and adding their own twist to it, I'm honestly all here for it. And it lets people enjoy so many different iterations. People love the goofier Lego Batman. People love the more brutal Ben Affleck Batman. People love the more methodical Pattinson Batman. People love the throat-coddling Bale Batman, and people love their comic version of Batman. Always. There's something for everyone with the character, and that's something I will always cherish and why I love Batman. But what do you think? Do you think Batman is an easier superhero to write compared to others? Let me know. Do you think I'm wrong, right? Did I miss any points? Do you think this video is pointless? Let me know. But as always, if you enjoyed the video, I appreciate you watching. Leave a like, a subscription, a comment if you enjoy Batman content as much as I do. But as always, hope you had a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe and peace.